Good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Good afternoon. This is the LFC Transfer Room. My name is Damon. This is Tom, Kings, and Harmony. It's nice to actually speak about not a Europa League match for once on a Thursday night, which is something different. Got transfer news, got some big news regarding the Super League and the Champions League. Klopp's not happy with Anfield and the atmosphere at Anfield. We will be discussing that. FSG, Arsenal, and possibly the Carabao Cup as well, where we drew Fulham in the semi-final, where we play Anfield on the 9th of January and at Craven Cottage on the 23rd of January. First of all, guys, as always, we ask how our guests are doing. And Kings, how are you, my friend, first? You muted, lad.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Damon. Like everybody else, I suppose, on the run up to Christmas, just busy trying to get everything sorted. But yeah, doing all right. So can't complain.
Everyone's a little bit cheerful at Christmas, apart from John Henry. But that will be discussed later on. Happy holidays, everyone says Jay Moose. We need to set back desperately and could do with it right now to accommodate transition to midfield. We will discuss that a little bit further on. Ian, Tom, how are you? How are you, my friend?
Yeah, all good. Similar to Kings, really quite busy, but yeah, happy after yesterday's win and looking forward to the big one Saturday now.
It's nice to come off a win like that. I mean, that was an over needed performance, I think, as a whole, because I don't think those performances have been picking up trees this season. But that harmony was perfect last night. When we Arsenal next, we need to carry it on, don't we? How are you first as well?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Quite a busy day, but we get on with it. It was great to see the Reds win yesterday. So it kind of got everyone's moods up. So yeah.
Moose says here, we're going to get straight into it, boys. On steam bombs. It certainly was on steam bombs today, and Army does the right thing by sometimes not going on Twitter. It does distance himself from Twitter at times, especially in the transfer window, because he knows it's all going to be disappointment when it comes to Liverpool. Ornstein has come out with some three major news points today. Joao Palhinha at Fulham. Nothing's expected for Liverpool to go. We were interested in, but nothing is expected to come in January or possibly summer as well. Let's start with that first, then, Tom. Palhinha, he might have been 40 million. I know he's a bit of an age on him at the moment, but still, he would have been perfect winner just to slot right in at that DM position.
Yeah, I've mentioned a few times I would love to have seen him here. I think he's just absolutely world class at what he does in terms of sweeping up. Obviously, the tackles show that this year and last year. I honestly think he could be the difference in us winning the league or not. I think he's that good of a player. But like you say, it's not too surprising. Obviously, it's FSG we're talking about. We always seem to be one short of really sort of, being like a title-winning team. And that is quite frustrating. The age side as well, I don't think it's a problem. He's only 28. He's not 35. He's 28. He's got a lot of years still ahead of him for me. So, yeah, I would have loved to have seen him. But like I said, I'm not too surprised. And I've been really happy with Endo lately. So that does sort of take a little bit of, less importance on the buying the number 6.
Do you agree there, kids? Is Hendo's performances still doing enough to cover the fact that we haven't got a proper 6 in? Or should we go for someone like Palhinha?
To be honest, I think on a previous show with Lou and Chad, we chatted about Paulinho and the pros and cons about the price, the age. As Tom said, he's only 28, so he's got a lot of experience in the Premier League, so he would be a good signing. But in saying that, Endo seems to be growing into it more now. I think a little bit here and a little bit there, and it was kind of like, what can he offer really? But the last few games, I thought he started to I can't say cement a permanent position in the side, definitely not, but he's done enough, I think, to say, give me more of a chance. Let's see what I can bring a bit more to and see if he grows even more into the team. So, yeah, Paulinho will be, I think, a really good signing. But if it's not going to happen, then we've already got to look at either what we've got or Klopp's got to go back into FSG to say, please give us somebody. Which, as Tom has already said, it always seems to be with that one player. We just say, if we just get him, we'd be okay. Always seems to be chasing our tails with it.
Helly, ask you a question here, Ma'am. Do you want to answer it?
Oh, I don't know. I have nothing else to say to that. Yeah.
Well, Paulina, again, like King said and Tom said, it's a position there that could go on then to win us the league. That's how big like the 6 could be in. I know Paul says here, I don't agree on the Paulina out, but I think just that position alone, if we address that in the transfer window, and it could be the difference between the 1 or 2 points to win the league and the 1 or 2 points we miss out on, where we're going to be crying at the end of the season. Oh, is that Tottenham game? When it wasn't the Tottenham game, it was again not doing enough in transfer window. Do you agree?
Wait, is it my mic that's making a sound, or is it?
Okay, you're right, mate. You're good.
You're good. Okay. I think for me, we've spoken about this during the summertime. We went through this whole will we, won't we get a 6 situation for the whole summer, and then we coming near close to the end of the summer, we kind of got our hopes up thinking that we got Caicedo in there, and clearly that was a whole week of drama for no reason. We had Liverpool fans literally losing sleep, arguing against each other, fighting each other for one player that basically got influenced by his agent to go to a team which clearly don't suit him, and you can clearly see how he's playing. He's a whole different player from what you saw last season with Brighton. So it's difficult for me to really get into this situation because I'm looking at it like this. I can understand why they don't want to go inside and go in the market and get a 6, because you got McAllister, and then now you have Endo, you have Besetic, having to come back from injury as well. So he's looking like a promising person that that can kind of play that role and really cement himself being the number 6 for us in the future. But at the same time, I can understand why a lot of fans want us to get a 6, because if you see every single team that has won the Premier League in the past, and obviously whoever's going to win the Premier League this season, they have a 6. You have Declan Rice for Arsenal, you have Rodri for Man City. Even though he's not a great player, but you got Amrabat for Man United, and then Tottenham you got is it Basuma in there? Even though he's not performing well, but they have some sort of stability in that midfield that they know they have a destroyer that he can sniff up danger and kind of clean up. You do all the dirty work that all the other midfielders can't do or won't do.
Just go back over the years, mate. Go back over the years on the Premier League sides. They've all got an elite 6 in there.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that is where I can understand why a lot of fans want us to get a 6. I want us to get a 6, but the question is if we do get a 6 in January, is this going to affect our summer budget? That's a question we really got to ask ourselves. Honestly, with this ownership, we don't know what's going to happen. They can say, because you got a 6 in January, we don't have enough money to buy this particular player that we might want to get in the summertime. And if we do get a 6, what does that mean for Besetic? What does that mean for Endo? And what does that actually mean for Trent in terms of how he plays? And because you got to remember, if we do get a 6, that's going to unlock Trent in a whole different way, because you wouldn't have to rely on him doing all that dirty work, coming back and tracking players back, because you're going to have that 6 covering that right-hand side, kind of like what Hendo did and kind of like what Fabinho did when Trent was pushing up, bombing forward on that right-hand side. So there's a lot to weigh in on this. But to really answer the question, are we going to get a 6 in January? No, unfortunately. Even though it's clear that we do need one, we're not going to get one because our owners just not going to go out there and spend 60, 50 million, whatever it is, for 28-year-old now, to play for a couple of seasons. It just doesn't make sense.
I just want to address something that Paul said earlier in the chat. He's saying that I said that Paulina is the difference between winning the league or not. I think getting a 6 could be the difference between winning the league. Not specifically Paulina, but someone that can be there and allow Trent to be more free, allow McAllister to go forward, allow these other players to do what they need to be doing, because they're not being able to do what they need to be doing. And this is why I think McAllister going further forward is also another key that we should need to unlock, because when we see McAllister further forward, we're creating more. And in recent games, apart from last night, we've not been creating very much. We've been having shots from long range, but We need that little intricate passing out in and around the box, and that's what we've got McAllister for. We didn't buy him to play at number 6. Klopp doesn't also want Bajcetic TSS moves, but Bajcetic again, young lad, but is he really a 6? Is he more of a box-to-box player? Because he's got the skill of not just being a 6. I don't think Bajcetic is. I think he's got a lot more to his game, which is incredible. But again, it's another player that's a number 8, a box-to-box player, which we've got plenty of them already. Another player that we did go for in the summer, and we've been linked to him countless times. Fluminense did win the Copa Libertadores with him, and we said, wait until after that is finished. We might hear a little bit more. Now we're hearing something more. David Ornstein again with another bomb. He is no longer on the cards. Andre Trindade from Fluminense, and it also says that an alternative in the summer was pursued. Kings, was that alternative Endo, and is he the guy to take over Andre?
I don't know, to be honest, because obviously we had a slightly skew-whiffed in the summer with extra players leaving that maybe weren't planning on leaving, and they've brought Endo in, which, like I say, he seems to be growing better as he's going along. He seems to have settled in a little bit better. Whether he was the target all along, I'm not sure. To me, as soon as James Milner said he was leaving, Endo to me is his replacement. He seems to run forever, and he can be relied on to a certain point. It's like, but he's never going to be your big star player, is he? So I think bringing him in, I don't know if it was always on the cards, but I think they've done it and then thought, right, we've got an extra body in, at least in midfield. Now we've lost so many. I suppose. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, you said it perfectly with the Milner replacement, but when Fabinho left, I hope Hendo's not been looked at as that Fabinho replacement now because of the lack of not going for Andre, then not going for Lavia in the end and Caicedo. If they see Endo as it's a cheap option. Let's be honest here. It is the cheap option. It's not an alternative was pursued. It was the cheaper option was pursued. And I've never been against the Endo signing. I've always said, look, he's a perfect Milner replacement. He can play certain games. He might be out of his depth in certain games, which I do worry about on Saturday, by the way, because he's going to be against Odegaard, Rice, and whoever else plays in midfield. And that is a different level. But, Tom, was it a big mistake not going for Andre, or do you think there's someone else in mind?
No, I don't think it was a big mistake not going for Andre, to be honest. Obviously, a very good prospect, but he's played in the Brazilian league. You can't definitively say he'll come in and do the job for us based on that. Like, it's always a gamble when you bring players in from them types of leagues. But yeah, back to Endo. I do think he's been brilliant lately. I think his passing's very underrated. Never loses the ball because he knows his limitations, so he just keeps hold of it. Doesn't try anything, which is so frustrating when you have players that can't do something and they try it anyway. But he doesn't do that. He's been sweeping up really well. So yeah, I do think he's been playing really well. And if he keeps this up, then I'm all right with him for the rest of the season, to be honest. It's not ideal, but I'll be all right with it. Obviously, in the summer, we need to address it. But I do agree, like in these types of games against Arsenal, when you're coming up against world-class players like Rice or Odegaard, it does kind of concern you a little bit because obviously, as I've said, he is very sort of limited on the ball, and you just worry if that catches you out with a good present team as Arsenal. They're not going to give him any time. So that does worry me a little bit, to be fair. But yeah, in terms of Andre, I don't think it was a massive mistake not to pursue him, to be honest, because it is always a risk with them players.
So having said all that, then Ornstein came out the Palhinha news. He came out the Andre news. He then left it with we're not going to be busy in the January transfer window market harmony, and it was always going to happen. This was always going to happen. I said it last week. I said it a week before that. I predicted it that this is going to happen. We're going to be linked to all these players throughout January. We'll get an injury towards the end of January. It's so obvious to see. We'll get an injury and then all of a sudden we'll get a panic buy. And there's no way for me. I can't see Klopp looking at his midfield and thinking, Thiago can't be classified as an option because he's always injured. So like Paul says there, if our the guys are fit, but let's say that guys are fit. Curtis Jones is injury prone at the moment. Endo again is still unsure in terms of where his depth, where his ability is and what games he can play in. we're still short again, aren't we, Alan? And we can't be going into a title race now with Arsenal looking very good. City will come back, by the way. I know they're playing poor at the moment, but they've got De Bruyne's come back, Ireland's come back. De Bruyne's a huge miss. Can we really go head to head for the full distance without a 6 for the rest of the season?
I feel like this conversation is we're always going to have this conversation in terms of what always is it beneficial for us to go for a 6 when we're challenging, or is it that we just wait until the summertime and then get the players that we actually want?
But we're waiting for Bellingham for 3 years,
I know, but that's the problem. That's the reason why I say is it really comes down to when people ask, does Klopp really want these players? He does. I'm sorry if anyone doesn't believe that Klopp didn't want these players to be playing for Liverpool, then I'm sorry, they need to get your head checked. He does want these players, but what comes down to, he can ask for as much as he wants to. Oh, I want this guy, I want this guy, I want this guy. If the owners don't cough up the money, then he can't get the players. It's that simple. If the owners don't want to cough up the money, being like they're looking at it and thinking, is that going to be a wise investment? Is that going to be nah? And if they say no, there's only so much Klopp can do. So in this situation here, when I'm looking at it, we're always one short from doing something. Is whether if we're going to win the treble, if we're going to win the quadruple, or whatever it is that we're going to do, if we're going to win the Premier League or the Champions League, we're always one player short. And then when we get to the summertime, we say to ourselves, you know what? When summer hits, we're going to get these players and then we're going to be good for the season to go. And then summer hits, we get 1, maybe 2 players. And then we're all looking at each other like, we do need a third player. We need a centre-back, or we need a striker, or we need a backup for Mo. And it just doesn't happen. And then we go through the season and when we start to see injuries, we start to see problems here and there. And us as fans, we see this. We see these things way before it actually happens. And we just have to question ourselves, why don't the owners see these type of things? Why don't the person that is sitting in charge of transfers see these things before they actually happen? And this is where I feel like I miss Edwards, because he was so good at this. He knew what we needed way before we actually needed it. And with the whole Andre type of thing is that Edwards probably would have looked at him and said, this guy, he's going to be great in the future. If we get him now, in 2 years' time, he can cost 120 million. But Liverpool don't do that. They wait until the guy costs 120 million and then they go and buy him. I'm just like, why do you do that? If you can clearly see the guy has a talent, you can clearly see he fits your profile, why don't you bring him in? The only thing that will be a problem is that he might not work out. But you can still sell him for a good enough price because you're a Liverpool Football Club. That particular brand holds value to it. So even the players are not great, you can still get 20, 30 million from him just because he plays for Liverpool. It's that simple. You know what I mean? So that's the worst case scenario. The best case scenario, he comes in, he's brilliant, and then you sell him on for way more than what you actually bought him for. And I feel like that's what we need to start looking into. That's what we need to start actually investing and taking that little bit of a risk in, because we're one of those teams. It's like Brighton are more. They look at it like, okay, we want this player. We know he's going to be great and he's going to bang, and we're going to sell him for this much. So they take that risk, even though they're one of those teams, they can't take risks because they don't have that much money to spend in the first place. So every single transfer they get or every single player that they spend on, it has to be on point. But with us, Liverpool, they don't have to be on point because we've got enough quality in the team to make up that deficit. So we should be taking more of that risk, going out for these players and trying to get these players on board. And even if they don't work out, the worst thing you can do is sell him for 20 million and he's gone. But if it does work out, look at the value that you have now. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I don't know what more to say when it comes to this situation. We definitely need a center. I feel like we need a centre back, and we need a 6. But are we gonna get them? No. Or could this be one of those tactics where Liverpool are just like, yeah, we're not going to be involved in the market, and then kind of play the low ball game, and then all of a sudden we go out there and we just buy a player. That could be something else that we could be doing. That we could just playing it down, to try and get the prices down, because teams are going to charge, like teams like Liverpool or Arsenal, whatever, because they know they need these type of players. They're going to charge them extortionate amount of money just to get these players, especially in January. So maybe that's Liverpool's tactics to kind of get them down, to kind of get them to kind of lower the price somehow. But I generally do believe that we're not getting anybody at all. So
Liverpool have signed in the last 3 years players each January, but I don't think they've gone into a transfer window wanting to do that.
Yeah.
Going back to the injury-prone season when we had Gomez out, Matip out, and Van Dijk out. The Van Dijk one, obviously, that was unknown that was going to happen. But the Matip and the Gomez injuries were expected. They were injury-prone players. We went into a season with 3 centre-backs, 2 of them injury-prone. And when it came out to January, we weren't moving for anything. We wasn't moving anywhere. We are happy to have Ederson and Fabinho to fill those slots. Then Fabinho got injured. We then moved and we made a panic buy of Kabak and Davis. So they didn't want to sign anyone. They were happy there to keep Fabinho and Ederson as covering centre-backs. They thought losing out midfield as well as centre-backs, by the way. Well, that's your 2 midfielders back then. Them missing out of there. Going on to then Diaz. Again, Diaz, he was a summer target. We only moved for him because Tottenham went for him. If Tottenham didn't go for him, we would have been happy to sit there and not get anyone, not get Diaz, who, by the way, changed our season that season. We weren't in a title race. We got Diaz in, we went on a quad run. And that was because Tottenham went for him. If Tottenham didn't go for him, would have been still sat there, and would we have been on a quad run? I don't think so. I don't think we'd have been on a title race. Might have got a cup double, but that's it. Again, last year, Gakpo, another player we were waiting till summer to get. We weren't going to go get him. Again, we didn't want Man United to get him, and Man United were going to approach him and get him in that summer, get him in that January. And Klopp said, "No, I need this guy now at that cheap price." And again, I don't think we'd have got Gakpo any dearer than 35 million. For 50 million, wouldn't have gone for him. No matter how much we needed him, I don't think they care about how much we need him. It's about the price and about what price he will then to be sell on. And as a club, we shouldn't be thinking about what price it should be when we're selling them on, or how much value we're going to get out of them, because we want to win trophies. It's not like we're skin. It's not like FSG can't afford to give us a little bit of money every now and then. The billionaires now, and Liverpool have been a big part of them becoming billionaires. So we're going to get onto FSG a little bit later on, because I still think everything that we're talking about tonight boils down to them. A lot of it boils down to them. Before I do it, I do want to speak about. Before we do, actually, because Daniel's put something in here, I didn't, and then I've got a couple more comments. He's actually texted saying check the comments, and I don't know what's going on in these comments right now, but I don't know what to say, to be honest. But yeah, anyway, moving on. Klopp is not happy with Anfield atmosphere, and people are wondering why has the atmosphere gone down. I think Neville and Carrick have talking about it. Where has the atmosphere gone? Are the right people getting the tickets? Kings, you're the perfect person right now when it comes to this, because obviously living in Wrexham, you've seen Barry Reynolds and Rob McElhenney take over. They come in and they're making it about the fans. They are, what are the ticket prices over there like at Wrexham at the moment?
Main stand, I think, is 24 for an adult. And the behind the goal, I think, is 22.
Which is not too bad, is it?
No, it's pretty good, to be fair.
Not too bad at all. So their mind is getting the right fans and the real fans in those grounds, making the ticket prices available and affordable for the people that can get there. When our ticket prices go up, and we are run by someone that is just wanting money only, then there's no surprise that the wrong people are getting the tickets. There's no surprise that ticket touts are taking advantage of these sort of things. It's a mixture, I think, of ticket touts, of ticket prices, and the way the game's going as a whole, where it's all money based. So when Klopp's having to go to the fans saying, "Come out on Saturday, do this, do that," should Klopp be coming out and questioning his owners about that and saying, "No, why are ticket prices this high when we know in Britain right now everyone is struggling financially? The working class, and football is a working class sport, by the way. It's made, these clubs are made by the working class. The working class are no longer looked after, Kings. Do you agree?"
I very much agree, to be honest. It's getting more and more difficult for all Liverpool fans to try and get tickets. I do find you see the corporate side of it. I remember a few years ago there was an outcry when they said, was it Roy Keane said Man United have the prawn sandwich brigade? And in a way, I can see what he means. You know, it's people coming in, whether it's through touts or through hospitality, they're paying hundreds for tickets. And then they go there and they might not be the ones who know all the songs. And they're just like, well, I've got a ticket, so I'm going in. And they sit there and they go, well, I don't know most of the songs, so I can't sing anything. You get the odd shout here and there. And I think that does dampen the atmosphere. I'm hoping with the Anfield Road now coming up to almost full capacity, very soon it'll be full. And I'm just hoping after Klopp's criticism, whatever you want to call it, he doesn't really do that because the fans love him. So he doesn't normally go at the fans a little bit, but I can understand what he's saying. You know, he needs more passion. The last few games has seemed a bit flat. And I've seen it, people going, oh, it's a myth at Anfield, the atmosphere. And it's like, it's not a myth. You know, Anfield's one of the best atmospheres when the fans are on it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's electric, or it can be electric. And I just feel, more fans need to get behind the team, especially games like last weekend when it's 0-0 and really you should be testing Onana and that in goal, etc., and really putting them under pressure and get the fans going so they back the team more. So it's comes round on itself. The more you back the lads, the more they're probably going to put the energy in. And it just seems if you can do that, then I think it'll have a beneficial effect on the team.
The whole system at the moment, the ticket system is a joke, and we see in our chat that just complaints all the time when trying to get tickets. The back of queue, the 60,000th in the queue, and things like that. I just don't think. Like, I mean, FSG have already said that we're customers. They've said this in plenty of things before. That we're customers, and that's the problem we're getting now. This is why Anfield is the way it is, because they don't care who gets the tickets as long as someone's buying them tickets. There's always going to be people out there buying Liverpool tickets. Whether they don't even have to be Liverpool fans, people want to go watch Liverpool. It's like a once in a lifetime thing for some people. So, how do we change this then, Amina? Do we just lower the ticket prices, or will FSG ever lower the ticket prices to help this happen?
Not in this lifetime. No, they won't. Because, like we all say, cost of living is going up. Everything is becoming more expensive. Players are becoming more expensive. Maintenance is becoming more expensive. So these owners they're looking at it as the more things, like let's say like whatever goes on in Britain, let's say the financial crisis goes off again. That means more money is going to come out of their pocket. So now they're thinking, where can we get that money back? Where can we break that even? Where can we make sure that this does not affect us in any type of way? Where we can still do what we normally do, and whatever financial crisis is going in the country, it's not affecting us because this particular thing is bringing in a lot of money, and that's what happens. You know, they're gonna raise the prices. So then it's natural. It's almost like when you have a financial crisis and there's inflation in the country, house prices are gonna go up, bills are gonna go up. You know, prices in the shops are gonna go up. It's gonna happen. It's just there's a knock-on effect to every single thing that happens in around the world. Is gonna affect what circumstances that us as normal people we're gonna live in. You know, when this financial crisis hit with inflation, we were all questioning, oh my gosh, how are we gonna live? How are we gonna manage? We're not doing great, but we're finding a way to manage. We're finding a way to get by each and every single day. And I think that's how these owners are just looking at it. They said they're going to manage. You know, we had this problem before. We had the big financial crashing when the housing market was all over the place, and I think this was like 2008 or something like that. And people managed. You know what I mean. Some people managed somehow to continue living, and that's how they look at it. They're not bothered by, if we put the prices, the locals are not going to be happy. The fans are not going to be. They don't care. All they care about is their bottom line, and making sure that the club stays afloat. That's all they're thinking about. Is how do we break even? How do we make profit? How do we bring in more money? and unfortunately, this is one of the ways that can bring in more money. So as much as we as fans we don't like it and we want to see a difference, we just gotta come to reality that this is what we're gonna be facing. Yeah, this is what we're gonna be facing every single time.
It's just the way it is.
It is what it is. Like with the whole, I know we're gonna talk about the whole Super League situation. They don't care about us fans. All they care about is the bottom line. Every single club, even though they'll come out and make statements and say, "Oh, we're sorry, we never wanted to do this to your club," and blah blah blah. We're gonna give back to the community. Yes, they'll do it, but really and truly, their end goal is to make as much money as they can, so they can be in a good place and make sure that the club is run well, but not really look after the fans as much as they should do. Because, like you said, if it weren't for us fans, football would not be anything. If it weren't for us sitting down, paying for our coverages, with Sky Sports and all of that, these TV revenues that they get every single year, they will not be getting it because no one will be watching. So really and truly, we're so much more important than any other thing that they got going on, and I feel like they tend to forget that because football's become so big that they know, regardless of what us fans, local fans say, they know there's fans in Asia, in America, in India somewhere. You know what I'm saying? They know that there's always going to be fans that are going to go out of their way to spend money to support the club, to watch the games because they love what they're seeing. The Liverpool, the singing, the Anfield roll. Jurgen Klopp pump Fincy against the club. You know what I mean? They're loving all of that. And they're thinking, oh, I want to experience that. I'm attached to this now. So there's always going to be fans that are going to be watching these things. So it's kind of difficult to be angry, even though it annoys me because I'm a Liverpool fan and one day I want to go watch a Liverpool game. But because of all the circumstances, it's hard for me to get a ticket. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to get a ticket. So it's like, what can you really do? What can you really do?
There's going to come to a time where Jurgen Klopp's fist bumping the fans, and they're all just going to be there taking a picture of him instead of fist bumping along with him.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, that's where the football's going right now. But then it's going because of certain ownerships like FSG, like the Glazers, who are just money-minded people, and are allowing to run the club like just money-minded and using them as businesses and franchises. If it was up to you, John Henry, I honestly believe that there'd be an advert every 10 minutes on Sky Sports whilst we're still playing the game. That's what it'll be. It's all about making money.
Can I just make a point on what Klopp said, by the way? Do you know what Jerry said about the fans? We need the fans on their toes, firstly. And they also, if you're not up for it, pass your ticket onto someone else. The ironic thing of what he said there, firstly, if you're on your toes, as you said, like you're standing up, you get told to sit down. That's a big part of the problem. You can't stand up because you get told to sit down. You get either people moaning at you, saying you're blocking me view, you're standing up. Or you get, like I said, you get stewards saying you got to sit down. So you can't be on your toes. And secondly, when he said, if you're not up for it, pass your ticket onto someone else. Well, I don't even know it's a ticket system, but you cannot pass your ticket onto someone else now.
No, you can't.
They have to be on your friends and family. So it's not like you can say to your mate, oh, by the way, do you want my ticket for Saturday because I'm not feeling up to it? You can't do that because you have to.
As long as you tell it, you can tell it as a towel.
Yeah, you have to distribute it.
Some randomer, but you
so
can't.
That is the problem. The ticket system is the problem because you can't pass it on to whoever you want. It's so difficult to pass your ticket on now. And like I said, you can't stand up at the game. You have to sit down because you get told, to sit down otherwise. And that's a big part of the problem. And yeah, to be fair, I can't blame FSG too much for the pricing because that's just, I'd say more blame the industry rather than FSG because every single big club charges around about what FSG charge. Like, if you want to be one of the biggest clubs, you've got to bring in revenue, and match day revenue is one of the biggest sources. So, as much as I don't like FSG at all, I can't actually blame them for that. Really, I think it's more, like I said, the system.
It is a footballing problem, but yeah, I think regarding Liverpool, though, I think FSG do have a lot to ask about, and they could easily sort the ticket system out.
That's what I mean. It's the system in place that is the problem rather than the prices, I think, to be honest.
Before we do go into the European Super League and the Champions League, please make sure you do like the channel, like the video tonight, subscribe if you are new, and make sure we are watching every single night at 7:30. We are live every single night. We've got a special Christmas podcast out tomorrow with a special Liverpool fan from the States in what is possibly the greatest Christmas film of all time. That should be coming out tomorrow at 4 o'clock with myself and Lou. Greed. I seem to be everything that we're talking about is more greed than me on Christmas Day, Christmas morning. Because when I smell that oven in the morning, I do feel like John Henry when he sees the Super League coming back to business. And that is what is the latest news, is the Super League could be back, boys. But, however, there's been plenty of teams that have already rejected it publicly. Man United, Man City, Spurs, Chelsea, they're the English sides, Atletico Madrid, Bayern, Dortmund, PSG, Inter, and plenty more. But Man United, Man City, Spurs, and Chelsea are already rejecting it, Kings. That's a huge statement already. Leaves what us, Arsenal, Real Madrid, Barca, the top teams, left to reject it. I don't think Man United would have rejected it if Glazers were still sort of saying we want to stay here. But does that say a lot as well that we haven't rejected that yet?
I think when John Henry first came out and said, we're sorry for trying to do this and everything, I genuinely feel he was disingenuous. He was paying lip service just to make himself look good. Because ultimately, if it had to come off, as we've been saying about ticket prices and things like that, he probably would have just gone, I'm not bothered what you think, I'm going. But because it fell apart so quickly and it was a case of, I've got to say something here because I look really bad. So I think that was more just because he had to. I'm sure they in tomorrow or the next day or whatever, they probably will come out and say, no, we're not going to join because they don't want to look bad again. If he had his way, I think he'd jump at it and he'd go for it.
If like Man City, Man United, Spurs had not come out publicly, I think he'd be jumping it right now.
Yeah. I think, when they've announced it now and it's come back out straight away, they've started an advert saying we want to do it this way and we want to do it that way and there's lots of money, etc. All the top teams are interested behind the scenes. They're just not showing it. They're just not showing their hand enough. And whether it happens this season, next season, 5 years from now, whenever, ultimately something is going to change. It's like every other sport. Look at golf, and I know there's rumours of FSG with the golf at the moment and PIF and all these people. Even in the UK, the darts, it's split into two separate things. One became bigger than the other.
Yep.
Ultimately, things change. I mean, we all maybe look back. I mean, I'm older than some of the others, obviously, but you look back from the Football League when it split into the Premier League. They had a £44 million deal at the time with ITV. And then all of a sudden, they're like, oh, we want to break away. And of course, who was that? Liverpool, Everton, Spurs, Arsenal, and Man United, I think it was, the top five at the time. So we have history of doing this, of forcing it through. And as soon as it went through, ITV were like, oh, we're going to get the rights and everything again. Sky come along, paid £300 million on a deal straight. So the money, 5 times what it ever was. And that's what it's about. It's the money all the time. So ultimately, somewhere along the line, this is going to change, that they go, right, we're in. And if you don't like it as a fan, well, it's hard luck, because as we're going back to tickets, people will still take the seat. If we don't buy it, someone else will buy it and go, well, I'm in, I've come to see Liverpool. So ultimately, it won't matter because they'll have a full stadium and they'll be in the Super League at some point, I believe anyway.
Coach here says, hi, gents, new here, love the balance, big up. FIFA took bribes from Qatar and South Africa, UEFA. It's all corruption. And as he said here, I mean, even like to the Ballon d'Or, where Messi keeps winning it all the time, and like Lewandowski's been robbed as one, Virgil van Dijk got robbed as one, Benzema got robbed as one. It's constant corruption and bribes. I mean, UEFA, again, I love how the UEFA Champions League is set out right now, but it's still, they can't act clean. They can't complain about Europa or the Super League coming about because they're the ones that have made it corrupt in the first place, UEFA and FIFA. Sepp Blatter got done. So it's all about greed, isn't it? I know this whole stream's been about greed, but it really is, and that's where the world is working at the moment. That's where our country's working at the moment. It's just greed, and the difference between the rich and the poor is getting bigger. It's getting bigger and bigger, and when you have money-minded people that don't care about the people of the country, people of the city, people of the club, the fans running the club, then you can't expect anything different but greed been the main part of how they work. And the ticket prices going up and the tightness in transfers, it's going to happen. And the only way things change for the better is if fans stand up. This is our game. This is the fans' game. This is each club was built by working men and working women in and around the cities and the towns. So I'm hoping it does change it to the good, but whether it will or not, it's a big change. But however, there's one company that is thinking about changing, that's UEFA, regarding Champions League. With European Super League coming out again saying that we're back on, UEFA are actually thinking about considering not changing their format next year, which will be like the European Super League next year, if it stands how it is. But they could be going back to the original plans, which the format is now, which is 8 groups, knockout stages, which is, for me, is the perfect. It's always been like that from my childhood. You don't. My dad always says, "Don't fix something that's not broken," and that's exactly what the Champions League is right now. The format is perfect. Of course, according to Voz Populi, I think it is a Spanish online news source, that UEFA are considering sticking with this format. Tom, do you think it's the right decision if they do stick with it?
To be honest, I actually don't mind the format change in terms of like the whole big league. I do think the group stage is a bit boring for me. Like, but when that group stage is drawn, you know who's going to go through from each group pretty much, like before they've even started. So for me, the actual format of a one big league, I actually quite like the idea. My problem with it is obviously there's more games, which is the problem. It's 2 to 4 more games, isn't it? 4 more games if you in the playoffs. I just don't know how are they going to fit 4 more games for these top clubs. I just don't get. That's the part I hate. But like I said, the actual format, I actually quite like. It'd be interesting to see like how they sort of draw the teams as well, like who plays who.
That's the thing. Is it going to be a fair assessment and a fair format all the way through? Because a group stage is quite simple. You might get an in group, might get an out group. That's quite fairly done. How do that's pot luck picking out the draw. This is going to be decided by people, what fixtures they're playing. So how can they make that fair?
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting to see how they do it. Like, but yeah, like I said, I do actually quite like the format. It's top 8 go through, isn't it? And then 9th to 24th going to a playoff. So yeah, it'd be quite interesting to see how that sort of works. And hopefully make more big games. Like, obviously we don't know how it's going to work, like we just said, but if it makes for more big games in the early stages, I'm all for it, because like I said, I'm bored of seeing like Bayern Munich against Copenhagen, and like you know who's going to go through, don't you? Like,
well, it depends who's against Copenhagen, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, but like I said, for me, like I said, when that group stage comes out, you basically know who's going to go through. So I actually do think it is a little bit broken, to be honest. The group stages, I don't think this competition gets going at all until the knockouts. So yeah, as I said, I like the format change, but I don't like the more games, which is just becoming an increasing pattern now, isn't it? More games, and we're just seeing more injuries and lesser quality product as a result of it.
The new format doesn't really give those Copenhagen the chance really to get involved, and I mean Copenhagen now in the Champions League, obviously they went through Man United, but they won't get that chance to do that in this new format. Is it ruining it for clubs like that? Is it completely forgetting clubs like that deserve to be in the Champions League? And people say, well, the Champions League is a poor standard. Well, it's those teams are performing in the Champions League. If they perform the best in the Champions League, they will come through the group. So it's not really a bad standard. It's just up to Man United to do better, or for Newcastle to do better, for example. Is it fair on those sort of clubs, your Copenhagen, your Salzburgs, that won't get that chance now in the new format? You muted, mate. John Henry's cut you off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bad for them, but also you got to look at it like this is just bad for football in general, because the more they try to make things more exclusive for fans, more exciting, and you got to remember it's not exciting for us fans in terms of the people that have been watching football for years. It's for the new fans that are coming into the game. You know, it's for those fans that don't go to games every single week. They sit at their home in their countries and are watching games. It's for those people. Those are the audience that they want to attract. Those are the audience they want to bring into the game, so it can bring more money, so it can bring more TV revenue, so it can be more bigger prize pools for these teams. That is the reason why they're doing all of these things, to get these fans more engaged. You know, football is becoming big in the American market when it wasn't that big. That's because they got the David Beckham over there now, who's doing whatever he's doing. You got Messi over there doing what he's doing. And now they're trying to figure out a way to try and get European football over there so you can attract those fans. Because if you get that American market, that just means more money that gets pumped into the competition. So that's how they're looking at it. And it's all fair, it's all good and well, you know, bringing in more money and bringing in more viewers, which I want, obviously, because we want our sports to be global, even more global than what it is now. But you also got to remember, there's those stories that we got back in the days that we will never get again if these type of things continue to happen. The Leicester winning the Premier League, we're never going to see that again. The Porto winning the Champions League when they had no hope in hell to be winning that Champions League with that Mourinho team. We're never going to see that again, because you're trying to put these whole new systems in there to kind of just help the Carabao Cup. Yeah, you know, so you're not going to see these things happen again, and the joy of football is not going to be there anymore. I'm going to be honest with you. I still love football, yeah, but I don't love football like I used to. To put it that way, you know what I mean? Because I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed, you know, teams building from their own, you know, going from their youth team, bringing players up, making sure they're good, and obviously bringing players here and there. That's what I remember football being. You know, that Man United team that Ferguson built. That was literally that whole Man United team. He literally built it from the ground up. And look how successful that was. That was football. That was pure football, and people enjoyed that. But now when you have teams like Chelsea's, the Man Cities, you know, the Real Madrids and all these that just using a lot of money to build, you know, a foundation, to build a heritage. Even though Real Madrid don't need to build a heritage, but I'm talking about the whole Chelsea situation, the whole Man City situation. That's what they had to do. They spent ridiculous amount of money so they can get to that. They can get to this particular stage that they're at right now as quick as possible, because they didn't want to be sitting there waiting 5, 10, 15 years until they got to the stage. They wanted to do it quick, and hence why you see them, you know, having all of these charges, because they couldn't do it the way that Liverpool did it, the way Man United did it, the way Arsenal did it. They can't do it like that because they don't have that heritage. So they had to do it in some sort of way. They had to cheat some sort of way to get to the level where they're at right now. And that's where you're starting to lose the function of football, the passion that the fans, you know, a guy who's been watching football all his life, that passion of it is kind of getting lost, because now we're just looking at the Premier League, we're thinking Man City is going to win it because they got the money, they got the resources, they got the best players, you know, they got the best managers, they got the most money in the thing. That it's just so easy to realize who's going to win it. Back in the days, yes, you still had, you know, your Man United are going to win it, but you still thought Arsenal could have a chance, Chelsea could have a chance. You know, there was 3 teams in it that could battle it out, not because they had money, but because they had quality in their team in the first already. But nowadays, the more money you have, the more chances you have to win a trophy. But just to go back to that format situation, I feel like this is only coming about because, like you said, the Super League thing is coming back. So they have to find a way to pump more money into the Champions League. So that way, there's a bigger prize pool for teams that are in it. And the only way that they can figure it out is to bring more games. So that means more TV times, more TV revenue comes into the competition, and that kind of brings the excitement of, you know, big teams playing each other early. Like I said, that goes out to, you know, to areas that football has not really has a big market there, like America. That will attract them, because when you have a Real Madrid and a Barcelona playing, everybody's watching that game. Or a Man United, Liverpool playing, everybody's watching it. Arsenal, Chelsea playing, everybody's watching that game because they're massive games and they're big brands. So that's the reason why I feel like all of these changes are starting to come about, because they see how much money that the Super League can literally bring into these clubs and pump into these clubs, and the clubs are like, yes, we want to do it. Now they have to find a way to combat that. And the only way they can see that they can, you know, kind of fight that off is by doing what they're doing right now. So, yeah.
The best thing about the way football works, especially in this country, is the fact that every club can be successful and get to the top level. Every single club has a chance to get to top level. Also, we spoke about Kings about Wrexham earlier. You know, Rob McElhaney and Ryan Reynolds want to get to the Premier League. That's their goal, and they have the opportunity to do that. If the Super League that ice comes out, they're not going to be able to do things like that. You know, Dorking Wanderers, for example, they came up leagues and leagues and leagues to where they are. Where are they now? Are they conference? In the conference, aren't they now? Dorking Wanderers. They came from nothing with a manager that doesn't even have a coaching badge. You know, these stories, these opportunities that these clubs have, it's just going to be absolutely destroyed again by greed, and it shouldn't be the situation. This, again, I've stated it a few times, this is a working class sport. This is built by the people that have built this country, and it's just getting taken over by greed around the world. We've got American owners coming in trying to make franchises out of these clubs. You know, the two worst American owners over here are running the best two clubs in the country, and their mind is money based only. They don't care about what success happens on the pitch. As long as they're making their profit, everything's okay. And that is not an okay situation to have at the two biggest clubs in the country. So I do want to discuss, before we do discuss FSG as a whole, please make sure you do like and subscribe to the channel. We are not far off now, 10,000 subscribers. So close to 10,000 subscribers. And every time we do hit a milestone, we do a special show. And hopefully in the future, if we do get a chance, we want to include you guys and maybe include like prizes and things like that with you guys that are in the chat every night. And we do work out who are regular viewers, and it's very nice to have a community like that. And we at LFC Transfer Room do have a beautiful group chat. It's beautiful sometimes, it's not that beautiful sometimes, but it's a community as a whole, and we see that everyone that is in the chat and everyone that likes and subscribes as a community as well, and we want to do it all on this journey together. So FSG, guys, before I'm going to ask you some questions, boys, about FSG, I just want to rattle over on why I want to talk about FSG as a whole, because it covers the whole of tonight's news, I think. Palhinha, Andre, January transfer window not being busy, European Super League, Klopp not being happy with the atmosphere, all sort of covers and all goes back to FSG and the way the club is run. And we'll say it on camera right now. FSG have done some great things, absolutely fantastic things, and they need thanking for it and also praising for it. Jurgen Klopp, Michael Edwards, a good sporting structure underneath, good stats people that are looking for people with, you know, certain stats and players with certain stats and certain attributes in their game. Again, brilliant for the expansion of Anfield, the training complex. Those, however, are getting paid back by the club, so they haven't. It's not a gift. It's not a Christmas gift from John Henry. These are going to get paid back. It's more of a loan. So they have done some good things. And I do not have an agenda against FSG, because if I did have an agenda against FSG, I wouldn't praise them for these things. And I wouldn't ever open mind to them changing themselves. They could easily change, and I'd be happy for it if they did change their ways. But they're not gonna. So this is why I went from FSG into FSG like question mark to FSG out like a year and a half ago, because enough's enough. At what point can they keep slapping us in the face? And people say, we said it in chat earlier, saying like, well, they got us Klopp. My barber gives me a good haircut. Don't mean it can clip a picture of something rude on the back of my head every 2 weeks. You know, just because they do something good doesn't mean they can get away with the other bad things. Boris Johnson picked furlough, by the way, which was a brilliant system that worked in COVID. Was he a great Prime Minister? This whole FSG are great owners is an absolute myth. The good owners, they've been decent. Again, getting Michael Edwards, Jurgen Klopp, absolute brilliant decisions, life-changing decisions. However, when you look at it all, is it been that much of a great ownership? Let's look at the bad things. Trying to trademark Liverbird. How disgusting is that, by the way? Trying to trademark that should have the whole entire Liverpool should be against them for that alone. They furloughed the staff. Millionaire, billionaire ownership. Furloughed their staff in COVID. They've increased ticket prices. They've pushed the Super League. It was them and Glaze that pushed it the hardest, and Florentino Perez. They have done so many, and not even mentioned transfers, leaving Jurgen Klopp, the greatest manager we've had since Shankly and Paisley, short every single season. And I'll give you one thing, I know, is the PR that comes out about them today. Don't be surprised by the Andre news and the Palhinha news and the quiet transfer news today because of the last night's result. The timing is spot on. It's hard. It's easy to throw bad news out there when everyone's happy with the result the night before. The PR is unbelievable. It's happened before. We've had Mo Chatter on this channel talking about the PR, and he mentioned it regarding the deal for Nike, and we got a better deal offered to us by I think it was who was before Nike. Was it New Balance? New Balance offered something different and a better deal, but they went with the money with Nike. And it was a whole PR thing where they're saying, "Oh, we're going to get big stars with Nike." It was all that, even though New Balance offered us a better deal as a whole. It was all money based and going for Nike and all the links with LeBron James and things like that. Their end goal is franchises all over in every sport. They're pushing the golf. They've got hockey. They've got baseball. They're looking for NBA. The NFL soon. We're just a pawn in their chess game. And then say, well, we've won lots under FSG. Look how much we've won. We've been so successful. I've written down what we've won under FSG and what we've won in the 12 years before FSG. We won 7 trophies under FSG. The 12 years before, 8. We're different managers. We're different, worse players. We had poor owners, and we won 8 trophies. The only thing we've won under FSG that's different is the Premiership. And we went 30 years without it, and we can be thankful for that. Again, we can be thankful for these things from FSG, but it doesn't mean they can slap in the face every 2 weeks. You can thank someone for lending you a £5 to go get you a sandwich because you forgot your dinner at work. It doesn't mean that you've got to give them a £5 every single day back. You can be thankful for things at the same time as being critical of what's going on. And this whole FSG is an incredible ownership, and it's been all roses since been signing them, is absolute bull. And when people say it's either lie or delusion for me, it's as simple as that. Tom, I'm going to ask you a simple question here. Have FSG been incredible owners?
No, far from it, to be honest. Like you said, all the PR stuff is enough on its own. All the leaving Jurgen Klopp short enough on its own. Yes, they've done some good things, but for me, the negatives outweigh it by far, to be honest. My biggest problem with them, you never hear from them. Like, you never ever, when does John Henry ever give an interview and like say what he wants from the club, what his ambitions are? You hear from the City owners all the time. You hear from Newcastle's owners. You hear from Josh Kroenke. You hear from Daniel Levy. You hear from Todd Bowley. You hear from every other club's owners apart from ours. He's got no voice. Like, he doesn't speak. He doesn't, like I said, he doesn't outline what his actual plan is for this club long term. And the other problem with him is he never comes to the game, does he? He's never ever at the game.
He doesn't have to come every week, but at least hope now and then, be a fan.
And again, every other club's owners, or majority of them, they're at the game most games. But John Henry, he's here one a year, like at most. So that like I said, they're my biggest problems for me, that you never hear from him, and he never makes the effort to actually come and show that he's actually bothered about this club. So yeah, for me, I appreciate they've done some good things, but like I said, I just don't like them at all. I don't like the way they, like, their lack of transparency. Like, as I've said, is my main issue with them.
it's okay liking someone, but you can't. It doesn't mean that you're in debt for them. If we're thankful for Jurgen Klopp, thankful for this, thankful for that, but it doesn't mean that you're in debt to them, and it don't mean you can get away with certain things. Kings again, we go back to Ryan Reynolds and Brad McElhenney. That watching that Wrexham documentary has made me dislike FSG even more, just because the way they've gone about it. They've got the money in that league, they have the money in the National League, they spent a little bit more, but they care about the club. They went over there, had a pint with the people. They've met yourself, for example, and they're over there quite often actually watching games. Especially key games. They've become fans, and their love for Wrexham has shown throughout that documentary. Like they did, they bought you off a whim. They didn't have any relation to you over there, but they still have become fans, and that's what you want as an owner. They don't have to be there every single week waving the Liverpool scarf. They'd have to buy a ticket off a tout, by the way, to get there. But still, they need to show that they're passionate about the club.
The thing, what Tom said about John Henry's never at the games, etc., and you said earlier about it's like a franchise of one of each sport, and that's what I feel. So that's my thoughts on FSG. They have done some great things. They've also done some not so great things, and it does leave a bit of a bitter taste. When it comes to a team like Wrexham, yes, Ryan and Rob have come in, and instead of just going, we've bought this club and you never hear from them and it runs itself, etc. They've really bought into the community. They go into the community. They meet people there. They do come to games. They make an effort to chat. Yes, okay, some people just want a selfie or an autograph. They'll chat about things as well. That at the moment they're running schemes to help the food banks, etc., just to try and uplift. We still say the town, obviously, but it's the city now. But they're trying to uplift the whole thing, not just a football club.
It's more than just a football. Exactly.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, the documentary. If anyone's ever seen it, it's not just about Wrexham FC. It's about a community with a football club that's in it. It's not just the club going, well, we do this and a few people come and visit us around the community. They talk about the community, they talk to people in it and how they help them. And then the club is in the middle of that. So it's a completely different type of documentary to something like All or Nothing, which does Spurs and Arsenal. And it's mainly just football all the time. And you get the odd thing in the community. It's the other way around. And I think that's why people like them. They do come, they show their passion. When Wrexham got promoted from the National League to League Two, the shots of them everywhere. They were crying. They were real tears. They weren't for the camera. They were overcome with emotion. So owners like that are very few and far between, I've got to say. We all know what football in lower leagues, middle leagues, championship, whatever, is few and far between that they come in and they're actually like that. They're so approachable and they're so honest, and whatever they've promised so far, they've delivered and more. And if more clubs were like that, then the fans would feel so much better because they know what they're getting, etc. They've laid out what they want to do. They can't understand. We were going back to the Super League where you're saying potentially could become a closed shop. The reason Ryan and Rob bought into this club or a club in the UK like this was the fascination. Unlike NFL, etc., you can go from the lower league all the way through. It's possible to get promotion all the way up. And that's their plan now. Whether it happens is a different thing, but that's their plan. And I think FSG could look at a team like Wrexham and other teams where they have more fan engagement. And I think that would come over better if they were a bit more honest instead of just sitting in their flash offices elsewhere. They do it with the Red Sox. They kind of like they starve them of money for ages and then they win one thing and they go, oh, we're amazing. They ride off that for as long as they can until the fans go, well, we haven't won anything for 10 years now. Okay, we'll do something and they'll try again. They only seem to do things when they're pushed more and more. Otherwise, they sit back and ride on whatever glory they've had at that time.
If fans didn't kick off about the furlough situation, if fans didn't kick off about the European Super League version, they wouldn't have come out and apologised.
No, definitely not.
Again, like Tom said earlier, it's all for PR. They're doing it for a reason. They're saying it just to. That's how businessmen work. A lot of businessmen work, and it's positive PR, pissed PR, and there's a lot of journalists that protect FSG as well. I think at the club as well. I don't think they dare call them out. They might lose a place in the thing. I think Jurgen Klopp has said so many times. I don't know if anyone watches his press conference, but people say, "Why did you call him out?" There's actually been times where he has called them out, but not directly to the point where he could get done for it by the FSG. He does sly hints. At times he said, "I'm not in charge of the money." Again, he did it the other week where he said something like, we're going for the right player. Players cost money. He doesn't need to mention money. We know players cost money. We know he's not in charge of the money. There's a reason why he's mentioned the word money all the time. Because it's not on him. He's trying to tell you it's not on him. It's down to the money that he's getting sanctioned. And no, before people say, go and play FIFA, you just want to spend 600 million. Not one person, I guarantee you now, find any tweet I've ever said to spend £600 million. I guarantee you will not find a legitimate tweet. That is, if your argument is based off lies, where people are asking for £600 million players, then your argument becomes completely irrelevant. Completely irrelevant. Because no one is asking for that. Andre doesn't cost 600 million. Even Palhinha doesn't cost 600 million. We used Jude Bellingham for 3 years as an excuse not to pay for anything. Because we were never going to pay for him. Oh, we didn't know that much money. Oh, did you not? Why did you follow him for 3 years then? What have you been following him for? We were never going to sign Bellingham. We could have got Szoboszlai last season. We could have got McAllister last season. Why didn't we? Because we didn't want to spend. And the reason why we had to spend this time is because we let 6 midfielders go. We didn't even spend that much this time, really. We spent 150 million. We got 50 million back through Fabinho and Enson. We only spent 100 million on a brand new midfield that we needed. And it's still not complete, by the way. It's still missing. It's still missing depth. It's still missing number 6. Jurgen Klopp is a brilliant, like the best addition they could have had to this thing, but the worst in a way where when he goes, it's going to expose them massively. Because the work he does and the work his coaching staff do to make this work is incredible. And it's gonna be shown when he does go. And I pray that FSG are not here when he does go, because it's gonna go tits up. And I don't want to be one to tell you I said so, because I hate watching this club suffer. If FSG had backed Klopp a little bit more, and I'm not saying like 600 million, go buy Bellingham, go buy Rice, let's get a complete new midfielder, Bellingham, Rice and Musiala. No one's asking for that. Don't leave him short every single season. So I guarantee you now, if he wasn't left short every single season, would have won more. Would have won more than the 12 years before, where we won 8 trophies and we only won 7 under FSG. When your argument's based off lies and based off bull, then it becomes completely irrelevant. I'm going to let you say the final word on FSG. I'm losing my voice.
Yeah, to be fair to, I think all 3 of you kind of summed up really well. We're not asking for too much. We're just asking for just a little bit more. That's all. I think if they just spend a little bit more on the players, on the squad, then you get the best thing ever. You get fans to shut up and not come out after you whenever you do stupid things or try to make you look bad. Try to ruin your reputation or your image. If we just do that a little bit more, that's it. So them worrying about us, making them look bad or trying to ruin their image, is so easily solved. Just go get us what we need, and that's it. And fans will just celebrate. All we care about is what happens on that pitch. Obviously, we care about the training ground. We care about the stadium looking great. We care about the area, the community, the local community being taken care of. Yes, we care about that stuff.
But they don't do that though either. They don't do that
either. We care about all of that stuff. Yes, we do. But at the same time, the main joy, believe me, I guarantee there's stories out there of people that have gone through depression. But because Liverpool's doing so well, because we had that season, we had that period where we were playing so well, we were competing, we were winning trophies, it got people out of depression. They got people not being sad anymore. They got people to engage with other people. They got them out their house to actually go talk. There was actually a buzz around the city. I'm guessing. I'm not from Liverpool, but I'm just guessing. You know, so like that is all us as fans were asking for. Just give us something. Give us that little bit more, so we can be like, okay, now let's just watch. Let's just go enjoy our game. We don't have to worry about no transfer window. We ain't got to worry about when are we going to get the next player in. Or now we need a centre back. Are we going to get a centre back? Are we going to spend the money? Are we going to actually go out and try and get the best? You know, so that's it. That's it. That's all us fans want.
We said it perfectly at the beginning of the stream when we said, you know, if we get Palhinha in January, will it come off our summer budget? That shouldn't even be a question.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we should have a big summer budget, but if we address these situations early and wanted to spend these situations, no, if we allowed like Cater to go a little bit earlier, and just spent a little bit more on like you like to Sobas like that time or McAllister that time, then we wouldn't be in these situations where we're throwing seasons away. And a club like Liverpool, you know, you don't see City throwing season away. They didn't gone absolutely manic with the spending, by the way. I know they spent lots in like the last 10 years, but like recently, last you know, they saw Fabinho aging, they got rid of him. Last year they got rid of Mahrez and Gundogan, but they brought enough in to cover them. They brought 2 midfielders in to cover Gundogan. They brought Doku in to cover Mahrez. They got Vardiol in as well. They're always looking to improve. We don't need to spend. And people always say, look at Man United. We don't be in Man United situation. Or Chelsea. What about Aston Villa? You never seem to use Aston Villa as an example. Aston Villa has not spent, you know, they spent more than us. But they're not going crazy. They're not spending like Chelsea or Man United. But look where they are in the league table. They're doing it right. They've got a good manager. They're backing him. And they're giving him all the tools he needs. Jurgen Klopp is a plumber without a spanner. And he's doing a good job. He's fixing sinks, he's fixing toilets, he's doing all he can. But at certain points, he needs that spanner to help him get the job done properly. There's a reason why we've only won one Premier League title and one Champions League with the best manager we've had since Paisley and Shankly. There's a reason why we've won more trophies 12 years prior to FSG than under Jurgen Klopp and FSG. Bearing in mind, he's the greatest manager I've seen in my lifetime. Why have we won more under the 12 years before FSG then? It's not on Klopp. Klopp does protect him. And I hate that Klopp protects him, but what do you want him to do? He can't go, he's not a Mourinho that'll go out there and slag his owners off and his employees off. You won't go out there and slag your employees off to the general public in front of the cameras. If you're happy where you are, you know, young Klopp, he could easily walk out the door, but he loves Liverpool, he loves the fans, he loves the entire thing. He loves being an underdog. But still, we need to start looking at FSG now and really keeping I say it every single season that we need to keep the foot on them, but we tend to not keep the foot on them and they get away with it. But what I don't want to hear is at the end of the season, if we lose the league by a point or 2 points, go back to that Tottenham game and say, well, we got robbed. Because if we don't address these situations in January, waiting for the right player, another Bellingham for 3 years, there's right players out there. They just don't want to spend. And that's the be all and end all. They just don't want to spend. They never wanted to spend. This is why we have to sell players sometimes to sell. You know, we probably might have a decent transfer budget next season if we sell Salah for 200 million or something. We might have an okay transfer budget. But we shouldn't have to do that. No one has to do that. Not a club like Liverpool. A club like Liverpool makes enough money to cover costs of transfers itself. We don't even need FSG's pockets. We make enough money ourselves. Just like Man United. Man United don't use Glazers' pockets. Do you think Man United get their money from Glazers? No, they use everything that they're just as big as us in terms of club size. So they're making the money commercially, revenue-wise. There's no one that's made more TV revenue than Liverpool in the last 5 years. You know, we've just got a Nike deal, Google Pixel deal. We're getting deals like that with big sponsors. But we always seem to be not spending enough. It's not about the amount. It's always about the amount of players that we're leaving short every single time. And the talent-wise, we're going into seasons with a lot of injury-prone players and just relying on them and saying, please stay fit. We're praying that these players stay fit. We're playing with luck rather than actually making our own luck. Fine margins are massive when it comes to league titles, but fine margins can also be made up through transfer windows. No, we don't want to go get Bellingham, Musiala, and Declan Rice this January. We just need that little bit extra more to push. We've got a chance to win this league, by the way. We're in a quad. We're still in a quad run, if you want to say about it. But we've got a very good chance to win that league. We're a point behind Arsenal. Go show that we want to go win this league in January. We're missing a 6. Let's go get one. Let's go fucking win this league. But we won't ever do that. And this is what it all comes down to. Is saving those pennies. What we're saving those pennies for? They're not my pennies. I don't give a crap how much we spend. I just want to fucking win the trophies, win the Premier League, take over Man United on 20 titles. So, if people are happy with FSG, then you must be happy with just mediocrity and just happy just to, oh, it's okay, they got us Klopp. What's that, FSG? £600 for a match day ticket. You got us Klopp, it's okay. Oh, what's that, FSG? You're going to get us into Super League. It's all right, you got us Klopp. It's all good, you got us Klopp. You can do whatever you like. What's that, FSG? You just knocked down my house. You got us Klopp. It's fine. It's fine. I'll camp out for the night. You got us Klopp. Don't you worry about it. Stop being fucking pussies and call it out for what it is. FSG are not incredible owners. They're decent. They've done some brilliant things, but they're not incredible owners at all. Are they Glazers? No. Are they Tom Hicks and Gillette? Tom Hicks and Gillette are the Andre Voronin. It doesn't mean Andy Carroll's a good striker. You can't compare to Tom Hicks and Gillette. They're a different level of fish. They're Andre Voronin strikers. It doesn't mean that Andy Carroll's a good striker. Please, don't be shocked if we go to January transfer not getting one. This is the transfer window. This is the transfer room, and we seem to talk about lack of transfers a lot. And it's a shame that it comes down to that, but that's the way it is. Can we still win the league without a 6? We could do. Leicester won the league, so anything's possible. But if we really want to push this league, we need to go get out there and address certain issues in January where else we can, and go out and get this league because it's right there for the taking. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. Obviously, Arsenal on Saturday. We've got the match preview tomorrow night at 7:30 for the Arsenal game. 5:30 kickoff on Saturday. Big one before Christmas. I won't say title decider, but an early title decider right now. Because if we do lose that, we're playing catch-up already. And only 2 teams have been top at Christmas and not won the league, and that is the 2 teams that are playing on Saturday at 5:30. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Make sure you do like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Press that like button. Share it with your friends. Share it with your Liverpool friends. Share it with any football friends you want. We want to be a mix of people on here if we can. Tom, Harmony, Clock Kings, I hope you have a great weekend and a very, very Merry Christmas as well. And all the people in the chat, have a beautiful Christmas and lovely Christmas to your families, whoever you are spending it with. And if Santa doesn't bring you a FSG mug, then please just write a complaint into this channel, because we will always give you what we need. I might even get a new FSG hoodie to go on this, just for you guys. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and hope you have a great weekend. Thank you very much. Good night.